Hello everyone, my name is Ian, you're watching Big Rock Moto. Thank you so much for tuning in. So what we've got today is I'm simply going to go through all the questions that you all kindly sent in about the Triumph Tiger 900 Rally that I recently reviewed. So I put out there on social media and YouTube, send in your questions about the bike after I publish a review, and then I will make a video. So this is that video. So no fancy introductions. Let's just jump right into the questions and see if we can help you out. And if I don't answer your question in this video, put it down below and then I'll respond to you in the comments. So Sham writes in and has a few questions. So he says, classy gesture for Christian. Well, thank you. It was really sad to learn of Christian from Drive Mag Riders, his passing. That was very, very sad. He says, I have a couple questions. Which one would you recommend for a 90% road rider, the Tiger or the Africa Twin? He said the insight from your Africa video regarding the helmet banging with a pillion was priceless because my trips almost always include my wife. I think they're both really good on the highway. If you're willing to consider the DCT, then I would get the Honda. The advantage of the Honda to me is the engine's a little bit smoother, a little bit more torque. I think the bike is maybe a tiny bit more comfortable. But if you're willing to go to the DCT, it's incredible for carrying a passenger because the gear changes are so smooth that you don't have the helmets banging back and forth. And I'm in love with DCT, so I would get the Honda, and I just did the Africa Twin review, the Adventure Sports, also with DCT, and I loved it. So that would be my answer for the highway part. Number two, when I rode the Tiger 900, there was a slight buzz on the handlebar when cruising at 70 kilometers per hour. Yeah, there is a slight buzz that comes through at certain RPMs, but it wasn't enough that I don't think it would bother me on even a long extended trip. He said he was also feeling uncomfortable because of the heat on the legs from the engine. Is that just a problem in tropical climates? I didn't notice any engine heat, but I will say that a lot of the bikes I've been testing recently that are Euro 5 compliant seem to have more engine heat coming off than the previous versions did. So I think it's going to be an issue with a lot of bikes. And number four, he says, looking through the windscreen, the road was looking twisty, unlike the Africa Twin. Is that a problem? There is more distortion in the screen on the Tiger. It has more of a curve to it than the Africa Twin. So yeah, but I think you get used to that. And you could also change to an aftermarket screen. Also, the screen goes up and down on the Tiger pretty easily, so you could use that feature. Rick Connolly asks, another tip of the hat for having on a Christian's memory. I also have a question regarding the Tiger 900 as an owner of an 800X CX. How are the fit and finish of the welds on the frame? I have riding buddies with the 900s and the fit and finish is not very good on the welds. Yeah, I think you're kind of right, and I didn't point that out, but some of the welds and stuff didn't look great to me, but I'm not a welder. I really couldn't tell you if they were good or not. But yeah, I kind of share your concern. I don't know if they've addressed that yet. The bike I had, I did notice that a little bit on mine. Life's Adventures AD says, I ride a 2017 Tiger 800 XCX and have done 35,000 kilometers on it and want to upgrade. Should I upgrade to the 900 Rally Pro, wait for the new Tiger 1200, or buy a BMW 1250 GS? His gripe with the XCX is the wind noise even after upgrading the windscreen. Is it the same on the new Tiger 900? So let me kind of back into those. So the windscreen on the new Tiger is excellent. The 800s had really bad buffeting. I agree with you. The 900 fixed that. So the wind management on the new Tiger is pretty much as good as the BMW GS. In terms of comparing it to a Tiger 1200 or 1250 GS, well, you're getting into a larger, heavier, more expensive bike. So if you like the lighter weight, the more nimble feeling, and the better off-road ability of the smaller displacement bike, then probably stick with the Tiger. The 1250 GS is very, very good. I mean, I own one. But the Tiger gives it a run for the money. I don't know that I would trade in, that I would get rid of a Tiger 900 to go to a GS, or if I would choose a GS over Tiger. The Tiger 900 is very, very compelling. Adam Z says, how's the basic maintenance? Oil, air filter, battery fuses. Changing the air filter on my old one was a nightmare. So they fixed that. The air filter on the new one is really easy to get to, unlike the old Tigers. In terms of everything else, is pretty easy access. So I think they really paid attention to user comments and fixed a lot of those issues. Dual Sport Adventure says, thanks for listening to subscribers. I'm pretty convinced this is the right bike for me. Are the stock tires off-road worthy or strictly street tires? Did you notice any uncomfortable heat? So the stock tires, that came on my test bike sucked. They were those Bridgestone A41s. They're like street tires. They're not good on the road, even though they're road tire, and they have no use off-road at all. So I think they're horrible. I hate them. I would take them off. Actually, this GS here came with those, and I hated those tires. I couldn't wait to get them off. Did you notice any uncomfortable heat from the engine? I did not, but I was not riding it in that hot of weather. So I'm really not a good person to judge on that. Kim's and 520 says, I test rode one this summer coming from a KTM 1190R. The engine was really soft and usable. What I found odd was the ultra soft suspension. I have no idea what settings it was adjusted to. I'm 250 pounds. Yeah, so I agree the engine is a lot more refined than a KTM. That's true. The suspension is going to be softer than a KTM. KTM just has race level suspensions, and that's what they do. At 250 pounds, you're above the weight for the springs, so you would need to change out the springs on the Tiger for sure. I think once you did that, I think you'd be very, very happy with the Tiger. Does it help to adjust it? He asks. The adjustments aren't going to, you first have to have the right spring rate for your weight before you can even worry about any of the clickers, any of the adjustments. So you're going to have to get it sprung for your weight, and then you can worry about the adjustments after that. Kent Lovren says, what is your favorite adventure bike if money is no object? Well, that's probably a question for another video. That's a tough question. I can't even answer that right now. Prowler13 Prowler says, you said if it came to downsizing, it would be the AT versus the Triumph Tiger. No mention of the 890R on purpose, or would that be a competitor as well? The KTM 890 Adventure R is the most capable adventure bike by a long shot. It simply is. However, I don't like the fit and finish. I don't like the reliability issues that KTMs have, and that's what led me, as well as some other journalists, to selling their 790s off. So that's why I'm not looking at getting an 890. The Norden 901, maybe, if Husky has made it a little bit more polished. Yeah, so I don't know. I think there's there's other choices coming into play. There's the Aprilia Tuareg 660 coming in. There's some other bikes coming into the options. So probably not another KTM for me. Thomas Nar says, interested in how it compares to the Africa Twin off-road abilities and on-road as well. It's very comparable to the Africa Twin all around. Even though it has a smaller engine, it's pretty much just as fast as an Africa Twin, maybe a little less torque. Off-road, I mean, that's a tough call. Off-road, I kind of like the Triumph Tiger suspension better than the standard Africa Twin. I think it does a better job. The fit and finish on both bikes is good. The weight is kind of similar. Has a tough call. Man, I don't know. That's a really tough decision. They're both really, really good. On the highway, no, there's not much. They're both really smooth on the highway. They both have cruise control. The Tiger has better wind protection unless you go to the adventure sports model, the Africa Twin. But if you're comparing the base Africa Twin, the wind protection on that sucks. So I don't know. Tough call. Chris Keefe says, I'm really impressed with the reviews on this bike. I've narrowed my next bike to an AT1100, Tiger 900, or Tenere 700. The cost of setting up these bikes is not trivial. I'm wondering about any differences in availability, purchase price, and installation effort of parts, maintenance, skid plates, blah, blah, blah. Is there a clear path that should sway your initial bike purchase? So basically you're saying, is there a difference in cost and all the aftermarket stuff? I don't think there is. I think the truth is setting up any adventure bike with aftermarket stuff is an expensive procedure. And whether you have an Africa Twin or a Tiger or anything, you're going to have to budget for that stuff either way. I don't think there's much difference there. Gene Furter says, thank you for doing this. Any thoughts on passenger comfort? I know the 1200 GS will be the best. How close is the Tiger? I really can't comment on that because I don't ride with a passenger. But I think that you're right, the 1200 bikes will be a little bit better. But the Tiger seemed like it had plenty of room and looked like it'd be really comfortable. Jose Chaveri says, great video. And thank you, Jose, by the way. I think you're a Patreon supporter. Thank you for that. He says, on Instagram, you mentioned there was an issue with the Tiger during the test. Oh, could you comment on this issue? Would this impact your perception about the reliability? So yeah, so what happened was, and I didn't share this in the review, but I got my press bike, and on my first ride, it quit. It stopped working. It wouldn't start, and everything started to freeze up. And by the time I got home from that first ride, the bike was completely frozen up and dead. Well, what happened was the left-hand switchgear just wasn't plugged in. The connection was intermittent. So whoever assembled the bike, whatever dealership assembled it, did a crappy job, and they didn't connect things. So the cruise control, even after that was connected, then I had issues with the cruise control. So something was not connected right. But the overall fit and finish and quality seemed to be superb, and I didn't notice any other issues. And I think that was just a delivery or a PDI issue, but that's what happened there. Ghost Striker says, you're way more connected to the industry than I am. Would the aftermarket support factor into your decision on this bike? Does it have as much support as the AT or the KTM 890? From what I've seen, the aftermarket is really kicking in on the Tiger 900, so I think you're going to be fine there. Rebel Canuck says, you mentioned that the heated grips were not hot enough. That's true. They really are not hot enough. They don't go warm enough on the Tiger. Is there something wrong with the bike you have? Can the heat grip be improved? He says the grips on his Honda are really hot. No, I think it's an issue with the Triumph grips. I don't think it's an issue with my particular bike. I talked to other Tiger 900 riders, and they also said the grips didn't get warm enough. So sometimes they just don't get these things right. He says, I love the TFT on the Africa Twin. Okay, so he's going into the Africa Twin. I cover a lot of that in my new Africa Twin review. But I agree with you. The screen on the new Africa Twin is really good. How does the Tiger 900 compare in everyday usage for the electronics compared to the Africa Twin? The Tiger is easier to use. Like when you get on it, the buttons are much more simple. Things happen really fast. There's no boot up lag. So it's easier when you get on and use it. I think there's more customization though on the Honda with all of the things you can do and all the things that it offers, that you can customize the Honda more, but it's much harder to use. Marty says, I'm interested in the fuel economy of the 900 versus the T700 and the Africa Twin. Okay, so the Tiger 900 and the Africa Twin, for me, got around similar mileage, between 45 and 50. The T700, in my experience, and talking to other people, gets between 50 and 60. So you're going up a bit on the 700, you've got a smaller motor. At highway speeds, like when you're going 80 plus miles an hour, wind drag kind of takes over, and all the bikes start to use a lot of gas. Asa E says, one question I have, the ABS differences off-road versus off-road pro mode. Could you shut off the front ABS at any time while off-road? Okay, there's a lot in his question. On my bike, the off-road mode turned the rear ABS off entirely, which was confusing because some people said you had to get the Pro model to do that, but on my bike, it didn't seem to be the case. Well, that was it for the questions. I hope this was useful. If I missed your question or if you have additional questions about the Tiger 900, please put them below. I will read through, I will answer them. Thank you so much for participating in this community and being a part of this channel. It means a lot to me, and it's the reason I keep going. So thanks for watching. Ride safe. We'll see you next time.